Hello everyone, welcome back to Curious Chaos. I'm Crimson, and in today's video, we'll be continuing our journey in the Revlar region. In the last video, the space station professor presented and let us choose our own starter. And with our new companion, we've assembled a mini team, and this means that we can finally set off into the vast open and make our way to the first planet. For this, we gotta walk through Route 1, or should I say, fly through. That's because routes don't work the same in space like they do on Earth. In Revlar, the map will consist of 12 different planets, but the open space areas between them will also function like routes, where the player will be able to utilize a jetpack and fly through space. Some routes will be nebulous areas with elemental typings. Route 1 might be a grassy bioluminescent area where you can find nebulous plants, for example. And in other routes, you'll have to traverse through asteroid fields, mimicking how cave routes work on Earth regions. Keep in mind, this is still a concept and a work in progress. But for a second, let's just imagine it's all complete. There are 3 usual candidates when it comes to establish Route 1 Pokemon in main series games. These consist of the early Rodent, Bug, and Regional Bird, and Revlar will be following the same criteria. These will be the Pokemon you'll be able to find in these first routes and planets. Running around scared and paranoid is our region's Rodent Pokemon. Basing it off a lab rat was almost unavoidable, taking inspiration from the mice that would be sent to space for experimentation. It's your typical white lab rat, and it's in a very scared pose. I actually feel bad for drawing it in this pose. It looks so vulnerable, gripping onto its own tail in fear. It even has its little leg up to try and keep distance from any predators, and I can't help feeling the need to want to protect it. Apart from this though, there's honestly not too much going on for this stage, as the real fun will start with its awesome split evos, based vaguely on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Meet Sqweak, the lab rat Pokemon, from Sqweak and Weak. Constantly living in paranoia, it's difficult for it to trust a trainer. For a long time, researchers weren't even aware of its existence. It's an expert at hiding the second it hears anything approaching. If you felt bad for Sqweak before, you're gonna feel even worse for it when I tell you that in every single outcome, Sqweak doesn't ever evolve regularly. It has split evos that are both scientific experiment results. Let's see what it turns into if the results are successful, if you want to call it that. This will be the Dr. Jekyll of the 2 experiment results. It's become a genius, a mad scientist if you will. I wanted this Evo to impose a feeling of great psychic power, with its arms out, displaying its psychic abilities, and even levitating off the ground. I also positioned its tail in a way to mimic a belt and a monocle, thanks to the suggestions of members of my Discord server, and I think it's a great touch. I intentionally chose this weird selection of colors for Sqweak's Evo, as to remind you of the fact that even though it's extremely smart now, it's still an unnatural experimental result, and also to enforce the idea of it being an alien rat. Although, while writing this script, I remembered Rattata exists, and just like that, there goes my whole color reasoning out the window. Meet Vermind, the genius rat Pokemon. The name comes from vermin and mind, and the Evo gains the psychic typing. Its dex entry reads, it's proved to have an exceptionally high IQ and can make very strategically calculated attacks. Scientists love to team up with Vermind to help them tackle problems in the lab. Depending on Sqweak's stats, it'll determine which of the 2 evos you'll receive. It'll evolve into Vermind if its special attack stat is stronger. Let's see what Sqweak evolves into if its physical attack stat is higher, also known as the experiment gone wrong. In contrast to our Dr. Jekyll genius, our Mr. Hydemon is the monstrous brute result of the test. Poor Sqweak has mutated into what is a buff rat with sharp bones protruding from its back and forearms. It also has tubes running through its body made of hard skin resembling the skin of its tail, which is flowing with venom. And the large blades it has are actually stingers with very tiny holes at the tips that it can inject prey with. It shares a similar color palette with Vermind, but swaps their places around completely, with the purple fur becoming the color of its eye, and the fur now being green, like a big alien monster. Meet Vermutant, the mutant rat Pokemon. Vermind becoming psychic might have led you to believe Vermutant would gain the fighting type, but it actually becomes part poison because of its venom mutation, also because it's a dirty rat that you wouldn't want to get bit by. Its dex entry states, many people won't throw out their trash in fear of finding Vermutant rummaging through their dumpster. It makes itself right at home anywhere unsanitary. Oh man, I totally forgot to bring up this line's shinies, but both Vermind and Vermutant share a shiny palette of Sqweak's original colors, inspired by scientific selective breeding, preserving Sqweak's beautiful white fur. And then Sqweak's shiny is a black mouse with heterochromia, which is having 2 different colored eyes. In this case, it's green and purple as a reference to the eyes of its split evos. What do you guys think of Revlar's Rodent? Would you catch it? If so, which split evo would you evolve it to? In any case, the journey's just started, and our jetpacks are still full of fuel, So let's continue down the path and find out what other Pokemons are hiding in the nebulas. Alright, I initially was having a lot of trouble deciding what bird to take inspiration from to use as a regional, because well, there aren't any birds in space if you couldn't tell. But this sparked a really awesome idea in me. I remember the fact that chickens are the closest relatives we have to dinosaurs, and I really wanted to make a chicken dinosaur because, come on, it's just a super fun idea, and chickens deserve more love. Meet Eggapeck, the flying chick Pokemon. Contrary to normal regional birds, this Pokemon doesn't get the normal flying typing combo, rather staying mono flying type. This is a play on the fact that chickens can't fly. So seeing a chicken fly, and in space of all places, is everything but normal. Its dex entry reads, Eggapeck can fly but is too attached to its shell, purposefully holding it up every second. Because of this, it can't fly well, relying on jumping and flailing its legs to try and stay airborne. It's funny that in space, the chickens up here can fly, but commit self-sabotage because of the comfort they have with their shell. I'm rambling too long about Eggapeck. Let's see what it evolves into. I had to cut out the beginning of this drawing's time-lapse because, silly me, I had drawn the base and the final stages first, and then finally used their designs to help me make a middle stage. But I drew it all on the same canvas, so I had to cut it off as to not spoil its evolution. But that brings me to a good point. Sometimes designing middle stages can be a real struggle. This can be a good technique to use, visualizing the first and last stages, and then taking parts of both to make a bridge. For example, Eggapeck had a beak with a couple of teeth patterns to it, but this stage has a couple more, and its plumage is starting to change color. Small increments like this can be a great storyteller. Meet Foulisk, from fowl, basilisk, and jungle fowl, a type of chicken that coincidentally looks a lot like our Foulisk. Its dex entry states, finally breaking out of its shell, it feels free to bully all surrounding Pokemon in the ecosystem. Trainers should steer away from these in the wild. They will chase you down. This line shiny is based on what I consider real-life chicken shinies, which are completely black, even down to their organs and bones, which is insane. Also, these are so rare that to eat one of these will run you about $5,000 a piece. And yes, I looked that up. What can I say? I was curious. Alright, enough talk about eating the chicken. Let's let it live and see what it evolves into. As you already know, it's going to be a huge dinosaur. It's loosely based on an exaggeration of the feathers dinosaurs were known to have. I say exaggeration because they most likely didn't have as much plumage as our friend here, but I like to imagine that this dinosaur just so happens to be a species that developed many feathers and colors as to have an advantage both when it came to breeding and just overall intimidation. I don't know if you guys know, but chickens are actually super cool and don't get the appreciation they deserve. They have so many colors and their feathers are beautiful. I don't really see many chicken-based Fakemon, and that makes me sad, so I'm glad this one can be such a beast. Meet Rapterroar, the apex predator Pokemon, from Raptor, Terror, and Roar. Our regional bird has gained the dragon typing. Crimson, isn't the dragon type a bit too OP for the early bird Pokemon? Yeah, maybe, but it only gains it in its last stage and will admittedly take a while to level up to. And I think its dex entry sums it up nicely. Trying to tame one of these in the wild is close to impossible, even if raised alongside its trainer since birth. It'll start to ignore their trainer once it has reached this stage. Only the most fit of trainers are able to handle it. So if you're gonna catch Eggapeck, make sure you're prepared for the challenge, trainer. What do you guys think of the chicken dino? Will you catch it on your journey? Speaking of journey, we're almost at the end of ours, but there's still one last line we have to meet before we touch down. And that of course is the regional bug. Let's not waste any more time, let's go. Alright, it's only right to have a rover Pokemon for a space region, and what better type to pair this up with than bugs? Their segmented exoskeleton bodies translate well into robotic designs, so this is a perfect combination. Like most of my Fakemon, these designs don't just pop up first try. What you see is the final concept process, but behind the scenes, there are so many beta designs, and this Fakemon was no different. I initially wanted to use the base of a real-life bug and add rover elements to it, but I had a lot of trouble finding a bug with similar proportions. So then I switched from looking at bugs first to looking at rovers first, and then turning a rover silhouette into a bug, and that's what led to this wonky lad, having its neck up tall with eyes to the side mimicking the cameras rovers use to capture photography of the terrain. Meet Probug, the rover Pokemon, from Probe and Bug. Its dex entry reads, instantly after birth, Probugs fulfill their duty of surveying the area in search for possible new secure nesting areas. They enjoy doing this. Exploring and mapping the terrain is not only their job, but their passion. A lot of researchers have Probugs on their team, as it proves to be extremely useful on the field, helping create a map of all the different planets. Let's take a look at what it evolves into. Every single early route bug trope follows the same pattern of having the middle stage become a useless pupa stage. Just take a look at Gen 1, they gave us 2 of them. And for Probug, this will be the same case. So this stage will take form of an arrow shell. Arrow shells is what's used to transport rovers to planets safely, and so it fits really nice with the defensive pupa concept. Then, while I was making its beta designs, I noticed its top-like shape, so I thought I'd give it some personality and make it dizzy, and I imagine it having a spinning idle or battle animation in-game, so that's pretty cool. Wait, hold on, did he just say game? Meet Spinsect, the cocoon Pokemon, the name coming from insect and spin. Let's read its dex entry. After Probug finds a secure area for refuge, it stations itself there to enter its pupa stage. Pressurized air shoots from the holes of its body to propel and redirect itself in outer space. Honestly, there's not much to say about this guy, just like how there's not much you can do with pupa stages in battle. So let's move on to the final Pokemon for today's video. Honestly, I wasn't really, and still am not, a big fan of object Pokemon nor robot Pokemon, but with this region, it's changed my perspective on how I view Pokemon, and opened my mind to explore character creation at its fullest, taking inspiration from anything, and I hope this region can have the same effect for you. Like I've stated before, there's not much to use in space for Pokemon concepts, and I want to have a thriving dex of Pokemon that don't consist of a bunch of nebulaic, starry psychic types. So using a satellite as a concept was something new for me and is helping me to grow not only as an artist, but also out of my comfort zone. So when tackling this design, I decided to go all out, even adding things like a futuristic visor. I intentionally made it electromagnetically float off of its face because I wanted to differentiate it further from Flygon, since I originally was going to give it similar eyes. For the rest of its body, you'll be able to tell that it literally grew out of Spinsect shell, with the shell forming the segment of its thorax now. I had a lot of trouble finding good ways to make the wings and satellite dish stinger look as natural as you can get these objects to look, and I originally had designed the wings horribly, making them look very thick and heavy, until I realized that I didn't need to do anything crazy for it. Real life bug wings already look pretty solar panel-ish anyways, and I finally came up with a sleeker design that I'm happy with, along with the satellite dish. Meet Insectallite, the satellite Pokemon. Its body looks metallic, but it's not really a robot Pokemon, so it doesn't get the metal typing. Rather, it gets the electric type, and its dex entry reads, originally, it was believed this Pokemon was mute, or of an antisocial species, until researchers discovered that it is in fact one of the most communicative Pokemon ever, but goes undetected since it uses signals to connect with others. The shiny it has is just a simple hue shift that my server members helped me select, and it looks awesome. Is Insectallite a Pokemon you would add to your team? Alright, looks like our jetpack fuel is running low, but luckily for us, we're starting to arrive at the first planet of our journey, where we'll be able to heal the recent Pokemon we've added to our parties and refill our tanks. And of course there will be more Pokemon to meet there, like the regional dog, Revlar's Pika clone, and other early route Pokemon that I couldn't cover today, which I'm hoping you're excited to see as much as I'm excited to show you. Thank you for sticking till the end of the video. I appreciate it greatly, and I hope you guys enjoyed meeting the Route 1 Pokemon. I said this in my last video, but I'll remind you guys again of the server dedicated to the Revlar region, where you can share your own art with an awesome group of GigaChat individuals, and even assist on the progress of the region. Link will be in the description along with my Instagram page that I would appreciate if you stopped by and dropped a follow. Quick special thanks to the Revlar server members for helping out with names and designs. That's all from me today. Until next time, guys.